I've always found it hard to communicate a lot of things through my art. There were times when I felt like I couldn't use my voice. But I remember that I have always wanted to tell stories. I've always wanted to tell people's stories. My name is Goitseone Moerane, and I'm a multidisciplinary visual artist based in South Africa. I think I've always been a creative person. I can't remember not being creative. I started off drawing on walls, coloring books, the usual, you know. But I think I was also surrounded with a lot of creativity my whole life, and getting older and learning more about the people in my family, especially the women in my family. The creativity started taking a deeper meaning. That's when I started taking it more seriously, and a lot of the women in my family feature in my artworks, and so I think that speaks to the creativity and where the fire for it comes from. My gran, she kept the passion of art in me burning, because I remember I always used to make cards for her, like birthday cards and Christmas cards. She always used to keep them up on her bedroom wall, and like every time I think about it, it reminds me that that's why I loved her so much. Aside from that, I think, my parents allowed, we're 5 kids, and my parents allowed for us to all be different. And so when I was like, I'm going to study art, they were a little worried, as any parent would be, but they could see I was really passionate about what I was doing. Once they realized that, they gave their full support. I like to say that I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. I say that because I like to speak it into existence. There's a lot of things that we are doing as the youth of today that our ancestors, our great-grandparents, they could have never dreamt of doing given the history of our world. I came across a lot of old family photographs. You can see the wear and tear of the photographs. It feels like it takes you back into that moment. They're linked to the past, but the past connects to the present so intensely. Once I saw them, I knew that I had to use them in my art. I knew that I had to use my art as a platform to speak about these people. A lot of them are deceased, but I felt like using them in my art was a way to keep them alive, keep their memory alive. I believe that I am part of their memory. I am part of them, and so the things I do, speak to their sacrifices. The Sishwesha cloth is a traditional South African cloth that a lot of Black women wear during traditional ceremonies and rituals. So for me, the cloth always represented what a Black South African woman was expected to be, because every time I saw women in my family wearing it, they were in domestic roles. I feel like using that speaks to the cultural climate in our country, and so that's why I think this work relates to most people. As people, I don't think we could survive in this world without imagination, without creativity, without color, without abstraction, without expressionism, without surrealism. And I think art embodies all of that and more. I've read so many studies about the healing power of art, and just generally the power of art. Research showed that kids who were exposed to art at an early age turned out to be much more successful than those who were denied the opportunity to be creative. And to me, that in itself says a lot. I think art breaks boundaries. Art connects us as a globe. We're so different. Nations are so different. And through our history, through our world history, we have seen how easy it is to turn a blind eye to the next human being and start wars and hate each other and discriminate against each other. We've seen how easy that is. But there are some things in life that cross all those boundaries and are able to connect us universally. And I definitely think that's art. I want my legacy of my art to be about passion, about living your passion so fearlessly. And I say fearlessly because it's still something I'm working on. I wanted to carry our history into the future so that the people of the past, our ancestors, are not forgotten by the new generation. In a lot of our countries, in a lot of politics, in a lot of societies, we can see history repeating itself, and that's the classic example of us as a generation forgetting history, or like not taking it seriously, because then we wouldn't repeat the mistakes. I have always felt that my mission, especially as an artist, is to reach out to so many other artists to come, to give them a platform to be able to express their creativity in any way that they can, without feeling scared, without feeling nervous that they sort of won't make it in life because they're pursuing a passion and not a 9-to-5 job that's just going to put food on the table. I want the next generation to be full of Black artists, to be full of Black female artists, to be full of very successful Black female and male artists from this country, taking over the globe. As part of realizing that passion, or that vision actually, I got an opportunity to work with another artist from Gambia, and we started this program called Art for Hope. We were able to go to townships and teach children art from what we knew, like our own basic knowledge of art from what we learned in art school. We were able to teach children art, provide materials, and let these kids unleash their creativity. They come from communities where being creative is not taken seriously because you can't put food on the table with that. And so all those kids are either, told, no, you can only become a doctor, a lawyer. That's what success looks like, being a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. But art doesn't, being an artist isn't what subscribes to the narrative of success. And so I really want to change that. There was so many really talented kids, and these are people who have no formal training, and they were able to produce the kind of work they produce, and I could only imagine what they could bring to the table if they had those resources. Home for me, home for me is anywhere where I feel at peace in my solitude, anywhere where I feel the presence of God, anywhere where I feel like no matter what I'm doing and how far away I am from my family, I can still feel them, because I feel their love wherever I am. I feel them being proud of me and what I'm doing.